Ionian history extends from many millennia before the present day, and its recent times have been filled with unprecedented situations. So let's discover everything about it. Before we start, let's clear up a couple of concepts about Runeterra history. The most extended calendar in use is the Noxian one, being the foundation of Naxos itself, the landmark of year 0. And since then, almost 1000 years have passed. The year in which the world of Runeterra is at the moment is the year 998 after Naxos. Also, most events do not have official dates, but the correlation between many of them reveal where they fit in the storyline, although the exact date might not be that precise. With that out of the way, let's begin. As we said before, Ionian history is ancient, and we do not have information of its first settlements nor the origin of them, but it's here in Ionia where we have the oldest dated event involving humans, which also serves as the origin of our timeline, the Sky Titans War in 9000 before Naxos. The human settlements living in Ionia faced an invasion of titans descended from the skies, and were raged until the most enlightened humans managed to channel the spirit realm into themselves and transform into Vastaisairai, becoming immortal shape-shifting beings of both the material and the spirit realm, wielding the very power of nature itself. Thanks to them, the war was won and the titans were defeated. They continued to live among the rest of humans they once were, and their offspring were the origin of the Vastaya. Given both how ancient this event is and how little it has been talked about, this is one of the most enigmatic pieces of Runeterra lore. What were these titans and why did they war against humans? Why have the Vastaisairai distanced from humans so much? Yordles do not die of old age, and we do not know for a fact when did Kennen come to Ionia, but it seems likely that he came here even before the Titan War. Around 1000 years after it, Ivern would be the one coming to the First Lands in search of magical powers to defeat the Three Sisters, and would stay there for a long time after morphing into a tree. During all these millennia we do not have much information about Ionia, only the fact that they lived in relative isolation to the rest of the world while empires rose and fell, but they did face several invasions of which none were particularly successful given the dangers of the land itself. However, Ionia did become the hiding place of multiple Darkin weapons after the Darkin War ended around 550 before Naxos, and shortly before the Ruination, in the year 27 before Naxos, the Besani Vastaya traveled to the Blessed Isles. Having a closer look at the last 250 years, we can see how humans started to seize the magic nature of the spirit realm, causing great disruption to the Vastayan lives, withering their powers and inhibiting their capacity to reproduce. It was during this time when Syndra, a sorceress with no equal, was imprisoned by the spirit of Ionia itself in an eternal slumber in order to prevent her from causing more harm. Closer to the current times, around the year 965, a young Jhin got kidnapped by Noxian armies and would never see his homeland ever again. Having a final sum on the last 25 years, we see how the story of Kusho, Shen, Zed and Jhin starts to develop, Liz in exiles, and Dara becomes the new Karma after the death of Jakri, its previous incarnation. The big event that changed Ionia forever would happen in 984, when Boram Darkweed, leader of Naxos, declared war on Ionia, marking the beginning of the Noxian invasion of Ionia. Noxian troops would slaughter through most villages, like Aurelia's one, as they were met with little to no resistance, only from individuals like Karma and small groups like the one set form after leaving the Kinku, and prompt many to seek refuge like Sona. During this time, many Vastaya that were resentful towards the humans that exploited their magic currents decided to side with the Noxian invasion and fight against Ionians, finding in Swain a new leader. The course of the war changed during the Great Stand at the Placidium of Nabori in 986, when what was meant to be a trap to topple the Ionian defense once and for all, masterfully planned by Swain, ended up being a terrible defeat when Aurelia, who was only 14 back then, severed the commander's arm and liberated the Placidium from the Noxians, reinvigorating the resistance throughout the whole nation. In the wake of this victory, Thed harnessed the power of the shadows and founded the Yanlei, and Varus got released after Kai and Balmar fought more invaders at Pallas. In an attempt to nullify this resistance, the Noxian army obtained a new biochemical weapon crafted by Singed, a Sonite alchemist, and started carrying it to the First Lands to push through difficult fronts and annihilate important settlements, causing the destruction of Wuju, the retreat of Darius and Kilera, and Riven's Roma, which would then provoke the death of Soma, the persecution of Yasuo, and the death of Yone. Talk about chain reaction, huh? In the last years of war, Noxus continued sending troops, among which were Kayn and Taliyah, but they were futile attempts at winning a war that Noxus had already lost. Backing Noxus, the once defeated and maimed Commander Swain managed to uncover a deep conspiration that was controlling Boram Darkwill from the shadows, and after executing him and becoming the Grand General and leader of Noxus, he recognized this war of attrition was a wasted effort and retired all troops from the front to focus his efforts in restructuring Noxus under his rule, although the southern Ionian territories remained occupied. After the war ended, Ionia is now in a conflicted period of restoration in which some groups, such as the Nabari Brotherhood, aspire to answer the fears and resentment of the Ionian population with the militarization of the country, something that clashed with the Ionia Sona remembered, prompting her not to stay there after her return and fuel set new business in the fighting pits. On the other hand, other groups try to reestablish peace in the land and go back to their old ways, like Master Yi rebuilding the Wuju Order, the Kinku Order, or the new life Riven achieved with an Ionian family after getting properly judged for her crimes. Others, as Akali, do not agree with the traditional teachings but also despise the violence of the Yanlei and the Brotherhood and decided to act independently of all groups, although she is still on good terms with Shen and Kennen. In the most recent times though, loads of worrisome events are starting to happen. Just in 996, the Nabori Brotherhood got Jhin released and fears started to shake not only the First Lands, but also Piltover, as he traveled there and faced Camille. Syndra got released after decades of imprisonment and now roams free. A second Noxian offensive was sent towards Ionia. Riven faced extradition and was sentenced to fight in the Noxian arenas, and the Vestager Revolution attacked Zed and reclaimed a temple the Yanlei had occupied. In the second half of 996, the events of Ruined King happened, with Ahri and Yasuo traveling to Bilgewater to face their past, and ended up fighting to protect the whole world from the wrath of Viego. They were not the only Ionians fighting him, as in 997, both Irelia and Riven would temporarily join the Sentinels of Light to put an end to his madness, the former when Karma got corrupted by him, and the latter when she was set free from the Noxian rule. What does the future hold for Ionia? We know Yasuo was planning to travel to Naxos after his time in Bilgewater, and Ahri wanted to stay in the Shadow Isles for a while to learn from her ancestors. Also, as we discovered in my previous video, Kayn and Ras could be raiding the Wuju Order to unleash the power of Tsolani. But what other stories could be told? We definitely know Swain still wants to conquer Ionia. The until now scattered and rather weak Nabori Brotherhood could be uniting their efforts and rallying under the banner of a new leader. Syndra has to still showcase her awakened potential, and stories about the Titans are still waiting to be told. So many possible storylines. I've done my best effort in checking all the available material to figure out this puzzle and give you a comprehensive, useful timeline I'm confident in, but given this requires a lot of deduction and precision, it's bound to have some small mistakes, so feel free to let me know if you find something weird. Wanna know more? Watch Ionia's relationship chart for more info about the First Lands, or the rest of the Journey in Runeterra series to discover other regions. Thanks for watching!